Welcome to Lighting for Profits.
All light.
Powered by Emery Allen.
Get rid of your excuses.
Your number one source for all things landscape lighting.
That's where the magic can happen. You can really scale a business.
We really had to show up for each other.
From lighting design, install, sales, and marketing.
You're a scaredy cat salesman, Kurt.
We discuss everything you need to know to start and grow a successful landscape lighting business.
What do you think a hippo has to do with your business, Ryan?
Usually it's some weird childhood thing. Some bully kicked your butt.
I think the key factor here is trust.
Here is your host, Ryan Lee.
All light. Welcome to the number one landscape lighting show in Culver City, California. It is going to be an awesome show today. I'm super excited. We've got the one, the only Mr. Joe Crisara. He is he's the author. He just released his new book, What Should We Do? So we're going to dive into that in just a couple minutes. I'm super excited to have him on. He's been on the show before, and if you have not heard of him, you're going to want to stick around. He's America's Service Sales Coach, and just an awesome guy. Got a cool story. He wasn't born, maybe he was born awesome, but he's more awesomer now. So he's learned a lot of cool things by experience, and he doesn't talk theory. He talks experience. So make sure you're sticking around. We're going to change the format of the show, and we're actually going to talk to Joe first, and then I'm going to kind of finish the show with some thoughts and things like that. But listen, if you're looking to start or grow a landscape lighting business, if you want to increase your overall ticket, if you want to close deals on the spot, make more money, this is the show for you. We're here to educate and motivate to help you dominate. I want to just give you guys a gentle reminder. If you have not, go give me a 5-star review on Apple, on Spotify. And if you're feeling really generous, write a few nice words. If you haven't gotten value, then pretend I didn't say that. But I know you've gotten value because the guests that we have on our show are freaking awesome. So go give us that 5-star review. I'd really appreciate it. And do a good turn daily. By the way, guys, I've mentioned a few times, I'm a lead with value kind of guy, but I have mentioned a few times, book a call, book a call with our team, whatever. And like, people are like, what does that even mean? So I want to tell you real quick, if you go to landscapelightingsecrets.com, click start here, and then watch that case study, you're going to learn a couple really awesome things. Okay. First of all, the biggest mistakes most contractors are making when it comes to growing their landscape lighting business. So it would be worth it to just go watch it to find out what mistakes most people are making. We also go over the 2 things that 7-figure landscape lighting contractors have present in their business that the grinders do not, right? And the hint here is you don't want to be a grinder. I've been there, done that. Sometimes I find myself being a grinder now. There's an easier way, okay? And then finally, we'll go over in that case study, in that video, the simple 3-step blueprint to double your profits. And these are the exact same strategies I use to grow my landscape lighting business to over $200,000 a month. So go take advantage of this. If you did in the past, go watch it again, because I promise you're going to be in a different state right now. Go to landscapelightingsecrets.com, click start here, and then watch that case study. And I promise you're going to get value out of that. You'll learn the secrets to doubling your profits, and it's not that hard. Okay, so go watch that. Want to real quickly thank Emery Allen for their partnership. You guys know this. Nothing hurts a quality landscape lighting install quite like flickering bulbs, a yellow fringe around the perimeter of the beam spread, or bulbs that burn out after a few on and off cycles. Don't jeopardize your customer's experience by using a budget bulb. I see so many people trying to cut corners and be like, why would I spend, $15 on a bulb when I can get one for $5? It's like, are you serious? Go out of your way and provide a world-class customer experience. And it's easy with Emery Allen. They'll make it easy. So it's what's on the inside that counts. Choose Emery Allen. All you got to do is email tomg@emeryallen.com, and he'll help you get your account set up and get you that discounted contractor pricing. Just mention you heard about him here on Lighting for Profits, and he'll hook you up with that super low pricing. Don't go to their website. Just email tomg@emeryallen.com, and he'll get you set up. So again, we changed the format a little bit. So we're going to jump right into the show. We're going to get Joe coming on, and we're going to talk sales, which is my favorite subject of all time. And then after, stick around, because I'm going to kind of do a download after. I'm going to talk about something that I had to do today. I had to do something today that was very uncomfortable. I'm not good at it. And we need to talk about it as business owners, because most of us struggle with it. And I just want to share that experience. So I'm going to do that at the end of the show. But right now, it's time to get our guest coming on. Let's get that music coming for our guest. You guys with me? If you're ready, let me know. Welcome back to the show, Mr. Joe Crisara. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing great, Ryan. Thanks for inviting me here. I really appreciate the invite, and it's great to be back here again in front of all the landscape lighting professionals. And I want to say thanks to Emery Allen, too, for sponsoring the show and making it all possible. That's great. Thank you.
That's awesome, man. Now, thanks for being here. You know, I love hanging out with you. I love learning from you. I'm definitely one of your prodigies. I'm gonna be preaching Joe Crisara's message for time and all eternity.
Well, thank you. It's so much. It's so much care, respect, and support that you have given me. I really appreciate that every time we meet, and I get excited about a subject I love, which is the illumination of the outdoor of a property. So it increases the value of the home, and just makes people feel good when they drive home in the evening and they see that museum of a home they own. Make sense?
Yeah, for sure. So that's why that's another reason why I like having you on here, is because you're actually a consumer. You're actually like an advocate of lighting. And it's crazy because in any business, like, I think, let's talk about sales for a second, because like everyone's kind of afraid of sales. Like, they think it's like a dirty word, and it's like they think they're convincing people to do something that they don't really want. And you just mentioned some highlights of lighting. It's like, no, people need landscape lighting in their life. Why are we afraid to, quote unquote, sell it to them?
Yeah, I think you have to help people imagine owning it, right? And I always say firmly, forget the sales part of it. Nobody can sell anything they don't believe in. Does that make sense? So if you don't believe in the service or the product that you're delivering to somebody, I don't believe anybody will have the passion to sell it. So when stress becomes part of a salesperson's job, or the owner of a company saying, I got to give these prices and I'm stressed out about it, in a way you're focused on the price and on the negative part of it, which is how much money it's going to cost and how to manage the project, as opposed to the positive part, which is the outcome that the consumer is going to get, right? So if you believe in the outcome people are going to get, I don't think there's anything that can stop anybody once they believe in that.
I love that. I think if you kind of reverse engineer that, the people that are afraid of sales don't believe in themselves enough. They don't believe in their product, their service. Like, they don't believe in their offering.
Yeah, I think when the motivation is just to make money with this, then the consumer starts to pick up on that, right? There's consumers like, I see this guy's trying to sell me a bunch of stuff I don't need or whatnot, type of thing, because he hasn't fully explained the benefit that I'm going to get, or the consumer is going to get. There's a lot of benefits that we need to make. That value, you mentioned it yourself, that value stack. That you brought that word to me. You taught me that word. So if you don't have enough in the value stack, then you or the client won't believe in it.
Yeah, I love it. Gosh, I love sales. There's so many different angles you can take, but the number one thing is belief. Like, you got to start with that foundation of belief. After belief, then kind of, what's the next thing that you see kind of everyone struggle with? It seems like you've worked with hundreds, if not thousands, of professionals. Where's kind of the next thing that people start falling off the tracks?
Well, I think there's 4 different unique places in the what do you call where we evolve, the evolution of somebody who can be good at sales, right? First, people are just uninformed, and therefore they're incompetent. So you're basically don't know about how to do this, pricing, how the science of connecting, the science of bringing the project to completion and getting the job sold. You just don't know about it, so therefore you're pretty bad at it, right? Second part of it is that you start learning from something like this, from you. You have a lot of training on it, and I provide a lot of training to you, like the book and the Audible that now has over 9,000 copies sold in the country. So we're #1 bestseller on Amazon for the service industry. So that's education for like less than a box of donuts. You could have that book, right? So I mean, it's just silly. 460 pages of information you could have. So now you become informed but you're still not competent because you haven't tried it yet, right? So there's uninformed and incompetent. Then there's informed and incompetent. But then there comes a time when you read that book or listen to you or come to your events, and then you become informed and slightly competent. You're almost there. Like you can get it and it works. Like I can't believe it, Ryan. I sold the landscape package for 15,000 and it was amazing. We did the pergola, we did everything. It was even the koi pond they had in the backyard. We did lighting for that. So we did lighting for everything, right? Front yard, backyard, side of the house, garden, and everything. And then there's the other part where it's not only are you informed, but I call unconsciously competent, where you do it so often that now you're kind of just gliding. You're not even trying anymore. It's easier. Like you said, grinding it isn't that informed and competent. Like I know what to do, but I got to grind it out. Comes a time where you don't got to grind it out anymore because you've done it so often that you just know what you're going to do when you get somebody's house, and you become unconsciously competent, where it just becomes natural to do what you normally do the right way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I feel like I remember being in all of those stages. And
but I think we got to have figure out where you're at, and let's get to the next stage. That's the idea. So the first stage is educating yourself, because when you're uninformed and incompetent, you have to take ownership of that, take responsibility for that, and say it's my responsibility to buy an Audible for $19 that I can listen to in my truck between calls, and on the same day make more money from that Audible. Like the $19, I make 19,000 on that $19. That's really what it's about. How can you invest in yourself and your own education? Because if you don't go to something like Landscape Lighting Secrets, if you're in the landscape lighting business, which I've promoted many electricians and people who are professionals, to say, the reason they don't offer this stuff because they just don't know what to do, right? It's a huge untapped trade, and most people don't even consider it a trade. Even Home Depot thinks it's something you just sell directly to consumers, and they don't realize there's a professional aspect of it, which is definitely certainly there. Makes sense?
absolutely. Yeah, I mean that takes you into the uninformed territory, right? So
right.
Yeah, it's so cool. I think when it comes down to sales, I think having that belief is imperative. And even myself, like I find myself having to remind myself of these principles. So this book here that you were kind enough to send to me, I thought it was like, I'm like, I thought it was gonna be like a small book, like the normal, you see these books that get released. This is over 400 pages. I'm just gonna be 100% honest. I wish I would have read it by now. I haven't read it, Joe. So I did like the Cliff Notes summary, but I'm excited to go through it because I believe that being a sales professional is like being a professional athlete. You don't just learn it and you're good. Like these guys practice every day, they play every day. So for me, every sales call that I go on, I have a manual now. I can go and review and be like, what did I do wrong? And I can practice and I can role play even with myself so that my next time I'm better. And I think that's how you get into that last state of being unconsciously competent. I don't think it's just that you're done. Like, I don't think you ever arrive as a professional. I think that it takes practice. It takes real effort to stay in that zone.
Well, there comes a time where you're too unconsciously competent, where it comes off like, man, this guy's slick. He's too good at this, too good at communicating, right? So there comes a time where you have to call dummy up, even when you're unconsciously competent, to say, I got to sound like I'm not quite as competent, because if I do sound too competent, it'll sound like this guy sells everybody. So I'm going to try to resist that. And you kind of, the consumer can see it when you got somebody who's really good at sales. So sometimes you have to consciously shut up and listen more and not talk as much so you don't come off like you're too slick in a way. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. Why do you think people think that because if you study sales and you become good at it, that somehow is being like unethical or slick? Like, why do they think that it's like, now you're convincing them to do something they don't want to do, when in reality, you and I know because of our belief that we're just helping them make the right decision.
I think that comes because when you're saying that informed and competent stage of grinding it out, you're taking time connecting with customers, which is what you need to do first. Then you're taking time to look at the project and see what the scope of the work I can do here at this home, and look at the engineering and all that part of it we're going to do, creating a solution. And then you're thinking about how am I going to present the prices, and you're taking time in each element of these things, right? Even when I bring it to a conclusion, I don't care how long it takes for people to make a choice. I'm going to stay here with people to do that. I'm not going to email it to them. I'm going to stay with them and do this, right? So when you get too slick, you start taking shortcuts. Like, I'm entitled to the sale. And so you start shortcutting the connection, you start making laminated prices as opposed to a personal price sheet to somebody, right? So that's when the slickness becomes like you're trying to do it faster in a way. Make sense? It takes time to get a good project, to get a good relationship with the customer, to make the prices that are customized and relevant, and to help manage the project to get the job done. Each one of those things take time, but the investment in time is returned by 1,000-fold if we just were to remember that, right? So the people who come off too slick, I feel, are just doing it too quickly. They're trying to be efficient in a way with their time and fit in more sales calls or whatnot. But better off just staying with the one customer you have right now and doing everything you can for them. That would be much more productive.
I love that. So many. I'm taking notes, by the way, but so many good things. I like instead of taking the laminated price sheet, a personalized price sheet. That's so good. And like I do see this a lot where people are like so pressed for time because they got to get to the next sales opportunity that they're not spending enough time with that opportunity, who's like a golden opportunity. They just have to spend more time asking them questions and finding out why they're not saying yes right now. And they have a huge, they're saying they're letting that person think about it, which means they're not going to move forward to go chase something else that might not even be a good opportunity.
My grandfather had a saying. He's like, that guy. He mentioned one time about a person who was upset because they lost a little bit of money on some investment, or whatever. And he goes, "That's the kind of guy who walks around with a loaf of bread under one hand and a big thing of ham on the other arm, and he's upset because he can't get the mayonnaise on the floor. He's got everything he needs for a sandwich already." But because he doesn't get it perfect, he's trying to make it more efficient, right? So sometimes it's better off just to take your time to do it right. And, if you're going to do high-end sales, you're not going to get it done quickly. It's going to take time to make that relationship, to know each member of the family. Because there is one fact: landscape lighting is worthless without the people in the home. So if you're not able to tell people the benefits of each person who lives in the home, why would landscape lighting be important to that? If you can't talk about the safety and health of the daughter who's coming home from school after she goes for cheerleading late at night, and she doesn't trip on that sidewalk on the ice because it's not lit properly, for security purposes. So when your kids are home, that the cameras and stuff will pick up any intruders that are on the front yard, and they can see it better. For the beautification and the relaxation in the backyard when we're enjoying a meal together as a family in the evening, you got to be able to tell the story behind each one of those things, right? And the people are a unique element of the presentation that you can't laminate people. You have to make sure that the people are personally every single element you're doing. Why are we eliminating the backyard? Why are we eliminating the front yard? Why are we doing the size of the house? What's the purpose of the reason why we are doing every single thing? Why do we use the fixture overhead as opposed to the fixture under the seating, right? Why do we do path lighting or whatnot? So there's different elements that you have to be able to speak to specifically, and more importantly, who in the family will benefit from that solution. If you don't know that, then that's something that's not going to work. That's uniquely why we put in the book, which is that formula to figure out who are the people and what's the code of the people. What words are they currently using that we could put in the presentation that would the people would recognize the words, and they would recognize the benefit because they themselves have said it. Make sense?
I love this. This is so good because I don't care who you are. If it doesn't matter what you're selling, doesn't matter what you're doing. It's easy to get nearsighted. It's easy to get myopic and just do the same thing over and over and over, and it feels like a laminated sheet and all this. Like, no, wait, what are we doing? Like, take a step back, personalize this. Just that one tip alone, right there. If people will take that on their next presentation, is going to help them close the deal, because no other professional, unless they've been through your program, is doing this. Like their competition sucks at this. You know, it's going to be a totally unique experience.
I firmly believe, especially with landscape lighting, this is the most important part of it, right? If I only said, let me come to Ryan Lee's landscape lighting for profits events or whatever, if I only had an hour, this is what I would teach in that hour: is how do we connect with people? How do we connect the solutions with the people? I would just say this: we got the husband, the wife, the kids, the dog, the people who come in, the grandparents and stuff like that, and then we got the front yard, the backyard, the sides of the house, the front sconces and stuff we could do out there, and the uplighting. How do we match all that up with the people? Because if we can't match that with the people, there's no reason that people will benefit, and not just in general. Specifically, when your daughter Amy comes home from cheerleading, or when she comes home from basketball practice, I want her to be feel safe, that she's coming to a safe place. That's why we illuminated the driveway lighting, so she could find her way, because it's going uphill at that pitch. I don't want her to slip on ice, so she can see the ground when she's walking. I did the side lighting because I want to make sure that you can feel secure, that when people walk around that side of the home, that there's nobody happens to be out there, and you can see who's on that path when you're walking on that path too. So there's different things that you got to be able to help people imagine how they're going to use the landscape lighting. Because if you can't do that, then people have to imagine on their own. The service then becomes a self-service. You're one step away from them going to a Home Depot and picking up a landscape lighting kit, because they have to imagine for themselves how they're going to use landscape lighting. And I would say, why do most people get this solution? They've seen somebody else who has it, and they realize, man, that's what we need, type of thing. So we can enjoy dinner in our backyard, on our deck in the summertime or whatever, kind of a thing. Does that make sense, guys? So I think that's something that is such an important factor. And then structuring the prices is another factor. But I think that's number one. If you can't connect the problems and the solutions to the customer, there's no reason for the solution. Then that makes you and the customer believe in the solution. Because every home is different. Sometimes we don't have a belief in the solution because of the people are more resistant than some other people are. So we have to kind of create that, create the problem and create the solution to make sure people realize what problems could exist by not having landscape lighting on the driveway, right along the driveway or whatnot, type of thing, right? It's not just beautification; it's also functional in a way that can provide safety, health, quality, and reliability of your life. A customer service that we provide with the Emery Allen replacement bulbs and all that kind of a thing. So, so all those things we do are the service that you're not going to get at Home Depot. You're just going to have us do it instead. Make sense?
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Even dropped some sponsors. Hey, we think that's gold right there, right?
That's gold.
Emery Allen, that's good.
Yeah, they're probably going to want to double down their investment now.
They should.
So smooth. You mentioned pricing. It's especially in our industry. The cool thing about the lighting industry as a business owner is we increase people's average tickets. Like if they start another home service business, their average ticket might be $1,000 or maybe $2,000. In landscape lighting, it goes quickly up to $10,000, right? So it's good. You usually have to do less work to make the same amount of revenue and hopefully profit. But a lot of them do struggle with selling with their own wallet. They're like, man, I don't know. Is this worth it? I don't know that I would pay this much money. Let's talk about pricing a little bit, because we know that you're doing a disservice to your client by charging an inferior price. You can't afford to use quality materials. You can't afford to spend the time that it takes to do the installation right. You can't afford sometimes even answer their phone call if there's an issue. So talk to me about some of your pricing tips.
Number one, you have to know the break-even price to start making a profitable price. And I feel that 25% net profit after taxes is essential. The reason I feel that is because the first 5% is being eaten up by, I call service chaos. Things happen to your truck, something goes wrong and you damage somebody's property in some way, or just all kinds of chaos happens in the service business, right? Number two are things that wear out that we own: the truck tires, the cost of doing business, new computers, we need new software, new education, like me and you would be part of that investment and things like that. And then we have new technology like you and I, and other LED solutions and things that are out there that could help illuminate a yard better, and we have to be aware of those. We have to learn about how to do that and how to implement those things, right? And then finally, there is infrastructure. We have to make sure that the office we're going to have a legitimate place. We can't just work out of our house forever. We're going to wind up having an office. We're going to have employees. We're going to have people do this for us on a. If you're selling $10,000 jobs, you're like one step away from having an office and an infrastructure now that will be needed that you didn't have before. So that's why 20% is needed. It's not until you hit 20% where the owner actually starts putting money in their pocket. So truthfully, you not only have to make enough money on the job today, but you have to have money in the job for all the chaos, the things that wear out, the new technologies and new solutions that are emerging, and then the infrastructure you're going to need. So those are, I would just say this way, guys. For every dollar that you make on this business, there are probably another $3 or more that are going to be needed just for things that are not having to do with the job. They have to do with just running a business. Your accountant, you got to pay for that. The training, got to pay for that. So just multiply whatever it costs to do the job from materials, labor, and multiply it times 5, because this way you'll have enough money for running the company and for profit for doing it that way. So one tip I would just say, take a look at all the costs of doing business to get it out there and stuff like that for the people and for the materials. Multiply that times 5, and you'll probably be somewhere in the right neighborhood about what the job should. Now, if you're going to sell service memberships or warranties for 5 years or 10 years, and the bulbs and replacements for 10 years, you could do that. You could say, I'm going to include bulb replacements every year for this landscape lighting project for 12 years. You could say that. Of course, you got to figure out how much all the bulbs are going to cost and then purchase them every year. And of course, you got to multiply that times 5. You can't just be just passing the cost along to the consumer. It's got to be, I'm going to come out there and install it, not just get the bulbs and give them to you. I'm going to have to, because those lighting fixtures, landscape lighting fixtures, are not easy to manage. And once they're out there for the whole year, they become tough to deal with, and that's why a professional is needed. And that's why you have to figure in extra money for all that stuff, because you can't just do it for today. Landscape lighting is a business that it consumes lighting, like the bulbs that Emery Allen supplies are going to be needed at least every other year. I mean, you could say every year as a premium package, every other year as a mid-range package, and then you buy them on your own and do it yourself on the bottom package. Does that make sense? So, so these different profit centers that you're going to need are going to be needed to be able to sustain not just business for today, but also to sustain the growth in the future. Otherwise, you won't be here if you don't make 25% of that. So I'm firm. It takes but it takes the courage to do that. It takes courage to say, here's the price. I got to figure out a way I believe in that price. Make sense there, Ryan?
It's interesting. When I started my business, I was the exact opposite. I was the guy who I'm preaching to now, and I was like, yeah, we're less than those big guys because we don't have the overhead that they have. But we're going to over deliver. We're on our toes. They're on their heels. And guess what? It worked because I was in the informed and what'd you call that stage? Slightly competent stage. And I was like a grinder. I was hustling, right? But then after a while, I was like, man, where's all the money? Like, why can't I afford to hire a sales guy? Why can't I afford to hire an office manager? I can't even afford an office. How do these people do this? And then it's like, it hits you hard in the head. And it's like, so what I say now is price like who you want to be, not like who you are today. Because if you don't price for who you want to be, you'll never be able to afford to grow into that company that you want to be. You won't have the overhead that you need to be a self-running machine. It takes more than just 1 or 2 people.
And you might even ask, how do people even do it without being informed and incompetent? How do they even do this? Well, here's why. Because Ryan Lee comes to my house, and there's a certain halo effect that I'm like, you know what? I like this guy. Something I don't even know what it is, but I like him. I like the way he communicates. He seems friendly. And sometimes that is enough to get it across the goal line as to why they would spend more with you. But here's the thing, though. When you're only doing what you did before when you were slightly informed or whatever you mentioned, is that you're putting your eggs in the basket that the only motivation consumers have is to spend less money. And that's not true, because why would you even do landscape? Because the easiest way to spend less money is not even think about landscape lighting. Just don't do it at all. So why are you doing it for any reason? And so let's ask a customer, Joe, what's the reason why you're considering landscape lighting when you never had it before? Is it why your family is looking into this, right? Or who in the family is the one who mentioned that illuminating the outdoors of the home would be something that would be advantageous to your family? Who in the one in the family noticed that? Who mentioned that? Oh my goodness! My wife told me about it. She was at her girlfriend's house. Here's the picture she took. Oh my goodness! So you saw that, huh? Yeah. So what do you think about that? Yeah, we need that too. What's the reason why? We can't even eat in the backyard. It's like we can't even see our food. We got to get flashlights. Oh my goodness! Well, you can keep doing that if you want to. That's just be skeptical. I mentioned about the part of the book, right? The be skeptical. It's like, well, Joe, you could just keep doing it the way you're doing it. You sure you're going to invest in this solution? It's definitely more money than not doing it at all. You know that, right? And let customers sell themselves on that. Does that make sense, Ryan?
That's so good. I love the skeptical because it's the opposite of what most normal humans think. You're like, wait a minute, Joe, you just meant you're trying to talk them out of it now? Like you're asking
Would it be funny
questions.
do the opposite of what a sales guy would do, which is you could even tell people, I'm not good at sales. I'm just here being a good professional. I believe in service. I'm not really good at sales. So Joe, have you thought about just not doing the project at all? What's the reason why you think this is a good idea for your family? And then let the customer sell themselves on this thing. Why are we selling it? Make sense?
I love it. I'm not even sure if what we have is going to be able to is what you want. I don't know. Is this even something that you're ready to move forward with? I love it.
Yeah, Joe, what have you looked into on this? What options have you looked in? Is it just don't you have anybody else like friends or family who could do this project for you? You got to explore that too. It's like, see, I'm like a detective, right? Figuring out how's this job going to get screwed, so I don't fall into that trap. So, Joe, don't you have any friends or family or people who know electrical or low voltage lighting? Don't you have people who know that? Well, my cousin David, he's an electrician. Yeah, I mean, why don't you hire him? No, he doesn't want any part of the project. He's sick of the stuff. Okay, you sure? I mean, is he somebody we should consult with to make sure that we're on the same page? Because I want to make sure that everybody's included to show them respect. No, I think he's fine. I don't want him in my business. We're fine with that. So, bottom line is this: you have to explore all ways that being skeptical means. To explore all the ways this thing could fall apart. And here's the key thing, Ryan. He who brings up the resistance or the objection wins the objection. They win it. Why do they win? Because if I bring it up first, like, Joe, this is an investment in your family. Are you sure you're ready to make it? I'm going to present that to the customer. Joe, are you sure that you're going to make that investment in your family? No, we need this stuff, Joe. Why do you need it? Well, who in the family needs it? My daughter, because she can't even, she's afraid to come home at night. Can't even see the lock on the door, the code for the door opening code. Oh my goodness. What's that like? It's stressful and frustrating for her. Well, let me go ahead and make sure that we take care of that. First of all, she's lucky to have a dad like you that would do all that. That's so nice that you would invest in this to make sure she feels safe. That's so nice of you. Which would be a good way of kind of outlining that sense. So the bottom line is that you have to figure out what is the unique thing that is causing this change. Investing in a $10,000 solution is a unique and high investment. I truly believe the investment is worth it. I'll tell you what, Ryan. I told you before last time. I sold a house. I bought a house for $250,000 in Illinois, Northern Illinois. We had this thing with a landscaper who was a big believer in landscape lighting. His name was from Breezy Hill Nursery up in southern Wisconsin. Jerry, the landscaper. I have a story about him in my book even. But Jerry, the landscaper, did a whole thing with landscape lighting and everything. And this house sold for more history of any house in that subdivision, a Country Place subdivision in Lindenhurst, Illinois. It sold for $459,000. There has been no houses that have sold for even $300,000 still to this day in that neighborhood. Isn't it crazy?
That's so cool. That's
because
awesome.
It was like a show place. It was like Epcot Center in my backyard. Lighting, and landscaping, and a koi pond, and a waterfall, and a pergola, and all that kind of stuff. Imagine the lights we had in the pergola, down lighting there, the under bench lighting we had. It was just he knew what to do, and he did it the right way. So a true professional.
That's awesome. By the way, you guys, the stuff that we're talking about can be found in Joe's book. What should we do? If we still have a little bit more time, we're obviously not going to have time to go over the 400 and how many ever pages are here. Joe's already mentioned a couple things, but I want to ask you a little bit. You've kind of got, I mean, it's broken down really well. You've got some different concepts. We talked about being skeptical. You hit on a little bit beyond code. What is beyond be a student? What do you mean by that?
Well, you have to learn about the client and how they are going to use the solution, right? So if you're not willing to do that, then you can't present you can't present the solution if you don't know how people are going to utilize or consume the solution. So I would just ask people, how many people live in the, how many people would benefit from something like this? Like, how do you think this would help? Somebody, like, when it comes to, like, when people come home, does everybody come home at daytime or do they come home at night? Yeah, my wife comes home after church choir practice at 10 o'clock at night sometimes. Oh, so how would she benefit? You can kind of see, I'm kind of embedding the solution in the question, right? Of the student.
Mhm.
So how do you think she could benefit from landscape lighting in the front yard when she's coming home from that choir practice and parking the car on the street? I see you have several cars and that trailer and stuff like that. Yeah, she really needs that because last time she fell and almost broke her hip when she fell in the driveway because she couldn't see the stuff that was in the front yard and whatnot, type of thing. Oh, okay, so that would be a good something good for her then. So you point that to her in the presentation. The reason why we're doing the certain lighting in the front yard is to make sure that Amy, when you get home from choir practice, is going to be able to have a safe, path from her car to the front door. Make sense? So if you can illustrate that to people, that's the part that's there. Now, when you do create the pricing, as I mentioned, you did mention the pricing before, so let me just go into that a little bit, if you don't mind. Is it okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so we do talk the science of pricing, which is really in the book. Definitely, I would say if you only got the book just for that reason, the science of pricing, where if you create premium, mid-range, economy packages for your clients, where the premium option, which is everything, the mid-range package would take care of what they want and just a little bit more, and then the bottom option would just be what they asked you for, right? And then having better service and warranties and stuff is a premium. Good ones in the middle and no warranty on the bottom to make it as economical as possible. If you did the science pricing, then you'd wind up selling about 3.78 times more than if you only offered the one price that you currently do. So if you only offer the one price, you're probably going to find only do what the client asked you for, which would be the bottom option. That's how people get to that $10,000 average. They're offering more, they're imagining more for the solution than the client could ever imagine. And how would the client imagine it? They're not a professional. You are. Only you can imagine how people have benefited. So, guys, every time you by accident have done something really good for a client, like under rail lighting, right, on a deck, or under bench lighting, or up lighting on the path, or down lighting on the path, right? However you want to put it, whatever people need, you got to say to yourself, yeah, this family can use that solution. And I can see exactly how this is going to benefit the son, the daughter, the grandma when she visits. And so you're telling that story about your presentation. Your presentation isn't about wattage. It's not about the model number of fixtures. It's about what kind of lighting we're going to do. What's it going to feel like in this backyard? And who is going to benefit from it? Does that make sense? And there's no need for wattage or BTUs or model numbers in your presentation. Take that out right away.
I think it's so good because I think a lot of people are just so excited to have an opportunity and have an audience that they just start spewing everywhere. It's like I loved what you said. Like you have to, in order to present the solution, you have to find out what the problem is, and then I go extreme. I'm like, not just find out the problem, but then expose it. And it's like if you have like a wound, like it's not just a little cut. Like let's really tear into that thing and find out how deep it is, and what happens if it gets worse, and what if it gets infected, and all these other things. Because now all of a sudden, it's not just a little cut that they could put a Band-Aid on. Like this is an actual wound that they need treatment, and they need this huge solution that we happen to have sitting in front of them.
Well, here's the thing, Ryan. If there is no problem, there's no need for a solution. So
Right.
You asked me before, how does somebody believe in the solution? How do I get people to believe in a solution? Well, if you're good at explaining the problem without the lighting in the side of the house, or without the illumination of the front yard or backyard, or if you're able to explain the problem properly, the solution sells itself. The customer sells themselves on the solution. So explaining the problem is really what good sales is about. Because without the problem, why would I spend more on a solution when there's no problem here? Make sense?
Exactly. Yeah. Well, it makes perfect sense, which is like, I'm sure people are like listening to this, like hitting themselves, like, what was I thinking? Like the next one I'm going to go on, I'm going to really find out and do the discovery. So, you talked about being a student, talked about being skeptical. How about be ethical? Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's where the words of the book, "What should we do?" It's not like I want you to do this. Is that, but that's not the name of the book. So I've learned about your family. I've learned about all the things that I know about landscape lighting. I learned about I've taken the time to personally create premium mid-range economy options for your family to take care of your family properly. I'm showing that I care by writing those options down. Does that make sense? Which is something that nobody wants to do. They're all like, "Oh my God, is there a way we can make this faster?" No, there's not. You got to say every home is different. Some people need different solutions. So you could have a template where you start out, but you might have to replace different things. Yeah, I mean, you could say something, what we're going to do for the front, what are we going to do for the sides, what are we going to do for left side, right side, and back, what are we going to do for the fence. So you could say there's different things we could do, right? So think about the solutions you've done already and say, are these categories represented or needed? How can I say this is really needed for a family, right? And then start writing the premium option with the better warranty, like 10-year warranty, 10-year replacement bulbs. The next one, 7-year replacement bulbs and warranty, then 5 years, 3 years, 2 years, and 1 year. So once you do all that, then you got it all set. You got a presentation you've done. And then, the ethical part of it is that I've done the work and put the investment into your family, investment into the solution, documenting it for you. So a service has already been provided to the client. Does that make sense? You've engineered a solution that is now customized and relevant to the family. And here's the famous words. So Joe, here's the price for that top option. 13,355. What should we do? And the customer's like, that's a lot of money. And they go, yeah, it's a high investment, but it's an investment in your family, Joe. So what should we do? So I got to think about it. Yeah, take all the time you want. I'll stay right here. I'll think about it with you. What should we do? So it's not telling people what to do. The book, What Should We Do, is designed to make sure that you feel comfortable that to bring the project to a conclusion. Because here's the thing, guys. The reason why What Should We Do is such an important question. If we fail to manage the project by getting the work completed, either say yes, let's get the job done, say no, we're not going to do this at all, or let's say schedule for another date while my wife and I think about it, and schedule the installation, and then let people think, let them have time to think about it. But guys, let me put it this way: if you can't manage the project properly, don't expect people to buy 10,000 from you if you're going to leave it as an email. Because I'll tell you right now, 100% of the people who do real landscape lighting are emailing the solution and not presenting the solution. There's like 1% who stay in the home and actually present the solution to the client. Does that make sense? If you're in that category, the broad category of wasting time talking to people and learning about the family, wasting time finding a solution, wasting time making all the prices, and at the end you just email it, it's like getting the ball to the 1 yard line and fumbling. Don't do that. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, we almost won the Super Bowl. We're right there at the 1 yard line. Too bad we didn't get that one more yard, and we would have won, said the St. Louis Rams, I believe it was. Oh, the Tennessee Titans, who lost that one in the Super Bowl to the Los Angeles, or to the what do you call it, Rams, the St. Louis Rams at that time, and it's 2001 Super Bowl, I believe it was. I'm not sure what year it was. A long time ago, 2010 maybe. I don't know. It sucks.
So it really did happen, and it doesn't have to happen to you, but it is currently, like you said, like it's happening right now in so many of these businesses, and it makes me sick because, like you said, like help them make a decision. It's yes, no, or in the instance where they do have to talk about it, and it's not like you don't try. Like you just showed us 2 or 3 examples of like you're still going to help them make the right decision by asking them what should we do. They're not like we need to think about it. Okay, sounds good. I'll see you later. Like that's not how it works. But
Well, I'm going to give everybody a super good gold nugget because I love Ryan Lee and landscape and lighting for profits, landscape lighting secrets and lighting for profits. Here it is. We're going to do a simple role play. You're going to be Ryan, the customer, who needs more time. Joe, we need to pray on this or whatever you tell me, right?
Perfect.
You're in that prayer mode. I'm like,
Yeah.
let's try it this way. I'll be the service provider. I just provided you with a range of solutions that start all the way from 13,000 all the way down to like $1,500 or whatever. I could do the one pathway for $1,500 or something like that, right? So here we go. Ryan, here's all the prices. What should we do now? You tell me. We need some time to think about it.
I don't know. It's a lot of money. Let me talk to my wife. We got to talk about it, and we'll get back to you.
Not a problem, Ryan. Ryan, can we both admit that the top option is just too much money for 13,335?
I don't know. Like it seems pretty sexy to me.
That's the one you like. What do you like about that one?
It's kind of got everything. When I do stuff, I like to do it right. I've been burned on the cheap stuff before, so I usually do like to do it right. It's just a lot. I mean, that's like double what I was thinking about spending.
Can I tell you a secret?
Sure.
I like to do things right too. So what should we do? Now, okay. Now, I know I'm going to close 90% of those. But let's still say, Joe, I know what you're trying to do.
I got to talk. Yeah.
Just give us a couple of days on this. Tell me that.
I'm in sales too, so I get it, and I appreciate your effort. But you know what? Like when we got married, we made a commitment that we were always going to talk about it, and honestly, we were going to pray. We always pray about things, and it's just that's what we got to do. That's what we should do.
You know what? Thank you, Ryan. Well, I'll tell you what, your family's lucky to have a guy like you be such a steward of our financial resources, and it makes me feel good to have somebody as responsible as you and your wife. Are you married, Ryan? What's your wife's name? Are you married?
Yeah, Lindsay.
Lindsay, yeah, you and Lindsay, such great stewards of the family finances. I can respect that. At this point, Ryan and Lindsay, are you interested or not interested? Let's just get that out of the way. Is there an interest here, or are you just being nice to me and saying you're interested, or is there no interest? Tell me that.
Yeah, we are interested. We want to do something for sure.
If you're interested, then there's a couple choices we have. One is you're welcome to purchase now, and then delay the installation we'll start tomorrow or Friday or whatnot, and we can commit today if you wanted to. Now, another thing we could do is schedule it for Friday or schedule it for Thursday this week if you wanted to, which gives you a couple days to think about the project. Then I'll just confirm on Wednesday that you want to go forward, and I'm going to give you my cell phone number. So in case you want to change your mind about that appointment on Wednesday to get it done, we can just cancel that and you can just find somebody else at that point. So do you want to say get it done now and schedule it now and get a down payment, or just don't do the down payment or the contract, but make your final decision on Thursday, and then I'll just confirm Wednesday that you're good and give you my cell phone number to cancel if you want to do that. So Thursday or today, what should we do?
Oh, man, I don't know. I don't. Like I said, we want to do the lighting, but that's just a lot more. It's literally like 2 or 3 times more than I was planning on spending. So I think we just got to talk about it.
Here's what we could do. We could start with a more economy package down below and get at least so you can see the sample of our work. And let's get the thing you called me for, which is the backyard by the deck, to make sure that's done. That's only $2,500 for all that. Now, if we did that, and then you could always upgrade after I got the job started. What if I said we could do that?
That might work. Yeah. Well,
so what should we do?
I think I'd be down for that. So you're saying we could start at the back and then see how it looks and then maybe add this stuff at the same price?
Well, if I said we could do that, normally we don't break up the package. But if I said we did that, Ryan, what would happen then?
Let's do it.
Yeah, so
that would have been my genuine answer.
Well, I'll tell you what. So we explored the thing about, hey, let's do it Thursday or do it today. And then we said, hey, we're just going to do it now because there's different cards in the deck. And you just got to figure out how am I going to manage the project. This is really not objection handling. It's project management. I want everybody to understand that. I'm not trying to sell somebody. I'm just trying to figure out how to get to the next phase, which is getting the work done phase. Sometimes it's get the whole project committed to, like we tried to say, hey, you want it done today or do it on Thursday, forget the whole project. Joe, just a lot of money brings the money up. Well, we actually do have more economy options. Why don't we just get started in the thing you called me for, which is the deck in the backyard. If you like what we do, then you can always add the rest. What do you think of that? That's great.
I like in the very beginning, you isolated, well, let's just get this one off the table. It's too expensive. And I'm like, no. Like, that's the one that I like. So you isolated where I really wanted to be, which was cool. And then, like you did, like you just said, you isolated which sections of the project. I was overwhelmed with like, shit, I don't know if I can afford this much right now, or even if I want to spend that. But now you brought me back to a peaceful place for me, which was like, oh, this is what I called you for anyway. What was I doing getting so excited about decking out the whole property, and let's just get started. So I that was like that's how I would have really answered. I almost pushed back on you more just for example, but I think at that point, people who called you and you did all these other things right, they're like, heck yeah, let's just get what we originally wanted.
Well, I think there is an element of it where if you did push back on it, you had sort of the feeling like no matter what I do, this guy's not going to just quit. Like
Right.
I'm but he's not quitting in a nice way. He's not like pushing me. He's just trying to help me in a way. Does that make sense? So I want everybody, if everybody heard what we just did there, that's how 90% of all the jobs get closed, just like that. It's like kind of explore do it today, do it to figure out later. Maybe it's just too much. Start with the lower one and then upgrade later. So you know what I'm saying? Or so there's a lot of different cards in the deck. Some people think it's just yes or no. I did start with that to kind of get that out of the way. If it's no, just tell me. I'll still be your friend.
Mhm.
If you tell me no, you sure you don't want to tell me no, Joe? Like go for the no first, actually, because most people are like, no, I like you, Ryan. Okay, so if you like me, then there's a couple things we can do. We get the job done now and just schedule it today. We can schedule it on Thursday. It takes a couple days while you think about it and pray. And then I'll call you on Wednesday, get my cell phone number so you can cancel that appointment on Thursday. We'll just come back, get your final choice on Thursday, and get the job scheduled at that point. Or just schedule the job on Thursday, either way. So we can either schedule it for the future or get it done now. Which of those things you want? It's just a lot of money. Now it's the money problem, right? Well, Joe, we have the economy option. Let's go to that. And you see how that kind of matriculated the right way, where I had the right. I anticipated what you would need, and I had the right solution before you asked me. Make sense?
I love
That's
it.
really the key. That's really key to sales. Is not trying to say how am I going to persuade this guy or manipulate him. It's having the answer before people ask me for the answer. That's really the key. If you can just think, what do people say? How can I answer that in a productive way? So before they ask me, I have already prepared the way we're going to go down that road if that happens. Makes sense?
And another thing I like that you said at the end was, instead of just saying yes to me right away, you worded it something like I was like, all right, so I clarified and I was like, so we could start with this and then add that later. And they're like, yeah, we normally don't do that. If we could do that for you, what should we do? Because I just had to sell myself again. Like,
Right.
this is
Commit
what
again.
we should do, And instead of, I think a rookie person would be like, you just answer with a yes or no when they ask a clarifying question. It's like, we could do this and add, yep, absolutely. But you didn't close the sell. That's the closing the sell was the way you did it and said, I mean, if we could do that, what should we do? And then they actually closed the sell. So that was genius.
Well, I tell you what, if you go on a sales call with me, selling service MVP or sell landscape lighting, we're going to leave with I call a clear future. We're going to know, because that's the difference in an amateur and a professional. An amateur fumbles the ball when they have the ball in their hands, and then they wonder why the other team scored the touchdown. The professional carries the ball all the way across the goal line to get the project done or get a no. We're fine with a no. If you got people to say no to your face, Ryan, how many people do you think would actually tell you right to your face, I'm going to use somebody else? There are people who will do that, but what percentage do you think it is?
Not high. Yeah.
It's 7%. So 7% of the people will say, you know what? My brother's going to do this project for way less money. I'm going to hire you. But we focus on the 7% who do that to us. Like oh my God, I can't believe I lost my job. But we got 93 other jobs where they just got the project done, right? Ironically, though, in our mind, the volume of the people who said no to us is so much higher than the ones who said yes. We just assume we're going to get a yes, but we shouldn't assume anything, truthfully. We should just be like, take it even. That's where you got to, the best way I could put it is pretend like you're a car dealer in Las Vegas. You're just dealing the cards and let people choose the one they want. And that's the best way to think about it. The card dealer is not here to win every game. They're not here to lose every game. They're just here to deal the cards and let the client choose the one they want, the right card for them.
That's so good. I'm writing this stuff down. Okay, man, that was awesome, dude. Really appreciate all the stuff, guys. This was just like the tip of the iceberg. He has a whole book that's like freaking long. He's got the audio book. So go get your copy. What should we do? Awesome stuff, guys. I didn't know who Joe was maybe until about a year and a half ago or something, maybe 2 years ago, something like that. But I've learned so much, and I feel like I'm like good at sales, and I'm sitting here taking notes on my own podcast. So that should give you like some insight on what he's teaching here, guys. Like, make sure you pick up his book, listen to the audio book, like he said, when you're driving around in between jobs, to get you jacked up before you go into an appointment. And you're not going to go from zero to hero overnight. Just get better at being a student. You get better at being on code, being skeptical, being ethical. Like, there's more stuff. Like, we didn't have time, obviously, to dissect the whole book, but just get better a little bit at a time. Joe, how do people get in touch with you? How do they stay involved in your community and get your book and all the stuff?
Well, there is servicemvp.com is the name of the website that we have, and you can take free lessons there. So if you go on Service MVP, we give you, I believe it's 3 free lessons on. We have the science of pure motive pricing, 12 different lessons on everything we talked about here today. Truthfully, science of pricing, how to connect with people, how do you present the pricing, handle the objections, and 12 unique lessons for free. Because I'm like you, Ryan. I want to make sure that people lead with value. I want people. Here's my wish. My wish and my greatest desire is to make sure that everybody who listens to this podcast makes money and receives value for the time that it took to listen. I know when people listen to you and they listen to me and they read my book, that's an investment in time.
Mm-hmm.
What I want to see is that return on investment for time, even on the free stuff. It's not free. You've invested time, and that's money. So I want to see, even for the time you listen to this podcast, which was no cost financially, to get that return on investment, like financially for yourself for the time you put into it. Then after that, if you want to learn more and master the concepts, then you can make the investment in yourself once you see that it does work and something you believe in. And I'm firmly confident that every landscape lighting professional should have our service, even at the free level, because I believe that you'll just be better at doing this job. And you'll see in the heart of pure motive service that you'll get sort of those reasons why this is a critical trade. And it is a trade of its own. It's not electrical. It's landscape lighting is its own thing. And I believe that I want to thank you, Ryan, for making this a legitimate business proposition that is going to help serve millions of people out there in the communities in this country and around the world. So I'm happy to make sure that we keep working with you to push this trade as far as it can go, because I really believe in it.
That's awesome, man. So cool. All right, guys, take Joe's challenge. Don't just make this an expense of your time. Like, go apply something. Just apply one thing. Don't get overwhelmed. Go apply one thing. Go get results, and then go post about it. Go post about it online. Tag me, tag Joe. Like, we want to hear about it, because I know that this was a very valuable episode. And then once you make some money from the things that we've taught, like, join the program, like get moving on. So, Joe, thanks a ton, man. Go check out servicemvp.com. Go get a copy of his book. It's already a #1 Amazon bestseller.
I guess you go to Amazon too, right? Amazon will be a place you can go to get the book. Amazon, get the Audible, the Kindle, paperback or hardcover. It's all there for you guys. So please do that. I appreciate you.
Love it, man. All right, Joe, thanks again for coming on here, man. Really appreciate you and looking forward to doing big things with you.
Thanks, buddy.
All right, take it easy, man. All right, guys, we're gonna stick around. I had these things on my mind, but I was so excited to get Joe on, and I wanted to be respectful of his time. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna just go straight into the show. But I want to share something real quick about something I had to do earlier today. It was very cold. It's something I struggle with, but man, wasn't that awesome? That was so cool having Joe on. He's just a natural, and he even though he's a natural, he didn't start that way. I feel like he went through the 4 phases that he talked about. And now it's like unconscious for him, but so good. So I'm serious, guys. Take the challenge. Go implement something you learned today, and then let us know the results. And if it sucked, then tell us that. If it was awesome, tell us that. But tag me, tag Joe. Stay involved. But earlier today, I had to do something that was really hard to do, and it's even hard to talk about. I think as business owners, it's the hardest thing to do in business. And earlier today, I had to let someone go. And this person I hired about 5 months ago, and just a great person. I still like them. We're still going to remain friends. Like it's just man, the hardest part of business, I think, is recruiting the right people and training the right people and retaining the right people, and then finally letting go when it's time. It's so hard to do this. And if you've been in business longer than like 1 year, you know what I'm talking about. If you've been in it longer than that, you really know what I'm talking about. It's so difficult to let people go, for a lot of different reasons. Number one, like, you put time, money, and real effort into recruiting and training them, right? And I look back, I'm like, man, like, we did this right, we did this right. This we could have done better, but we still did it. We still invested a lot of time and energy into it. Another reason why it's hard to let people go is, you most likely have to go back into that seat to fulfill the things they were doing. So now I'm going to be going and doing those activities again, right? And so I was like, wait, I thought I checked that off. I thought I removed myself from that box, from that seat. And now, because we don't have redundancy in our business yet, I'm the one that has to go back into that. So it's easier to be like, well, I've already put time and effort into this. If I let them go, I'm going to have to do it. So I'll just keep them in place, right? How many of us are guilty of keeping people around longer than they should be there for, right? Another reason you don't want to let people go is you feel bad for them. Like, I legitimately am like, was like afraid, I was like, man, I feel bad for them. Like, how are they going to take it? How are they going to react? Like, how is it going to impact their personal life, their family life? Like, all these thoughts and emotions go. And so it's easier to put off the decision because you don't want to hurt someone's feelings. You don't want to impact someone's life negatively. So it's like, I will just keep them around. Right. And then another reason why it's difficult to let someone go is you feel bad for yourself, and maybe you feel like a failure. And I'm like, man, I can't believe that person was here for 5 months and now I'm letting them go. Like, what did I do wrong? Could I have done a better job with training? Could I have done a better job recruiting? What could I have done different to have a better outcome? Right. And so it's easier to keep people around, so you don't have to feel bad for yourself and feel like a failure. So you don't have to feel bad for them. So you don't have to start working again in that seat. And so you don't have to feel like you wasted time, money, and effort. Right. And I was thinking about this just because it just literally happened, right? But I was like, you know what? There's a lot of takeaways that I want to share with you guys today, that I learned from this experience just today. Number one, and I truly believe this is such a crucial aspect of growing a business, because if you want to scale, you have to build a machine, and a machine can't rely on you. It has to rely on a bunch of different things, right? A bunch of different people. And I want to scale. I want to build a business that's what I call a lifestyle business. And yeah, I want to make money, but for me, it's more about like getting my bills paid and living a lifestyle that I want, that doesn't require me to work because I have to. I want to work because I want to. And so I look back, I'm like, okay, what are some of the mistakes I made? What are some of the learning things that I can take away from this, to not feel bad about myself, to not feel bad about, did I waste time? Did I waste money or anything like that? Or so to not feel bad for them, right? And what can I learn so that I don't have to keep doing this thing, to overcome those 4 reasons that I shared earlier about why it's hard to let people go. So number one, I feel like, when I go back and I evaluate myself in the process and this experience, I definitely hired on urgency and not necessarily on fit. Now, when I say fit, this person is like fits our culture 100%. So, I mean, you want to hire on core values. We did that. This guy matches every single one. Fits with, I mean, just a great personality, just awesome guy. Just really perfect fit. So we're like, dude, this is the one, right? And then, I've been taught that you can train skills. But the thing is, I didn't build the bench. So I basically was so busy that when I found someone, I didn't keep. I did interview a handful of people, but I also was like, okay, this guy's like matches our culture. Let's move forward, right? And I wish I would have had built a bench of people, so that when when I actually did need someone, I could call them up from the minor leagues and put them in the majors, right? And instead, I hired on urgency and not necessarily on fit. Now, the second one, the next thing I learned from this is the fit. So I thought, well, I'll hire on fit and then I'll train uh, skills, but this person had sales experience, but a different type of sales experience. And I learned that yes, you want to hire on cultural fit, and you can train skills, but you still need certain tendencies within that skill set. For example, you're not going to train someone who likes being in the office, like they want to be in the office, and then you're like, yeah, but I can train anyone to be an installer. It's like, but they don't want that. That's not like that. That's not what they actually brings them happiness and like, and they're just naturally good at it. They're more naturally good at office stuff. Like put them in the office, don't put them out in the field, right? You're not going to find your next all-star installer from someone who enjoys and loves and naturally succeeds in the office. And so, yes, you want to hire on fit, but you got to be careful because you can train almost any skill, but I believe they also still need to have some tendencies, right? If someone's completely not coordinated, you can't teach them to be an all-star basketball player. They just don't have coordination, right? Um, the next thing I took away from this experience was I now have clarity on the personality type I need for this role. And yes, it costs time, it costs money, but now I know. Like I have this clarity right in my head of like, okay, I know in this role, this is where we can fix some things, but I know what type of person I need to recruit for this specific role in this specific position and what type of personality they have. So that even though it cost me time, like that's an investment and it cost me time and money, but like it's okay. It's not like it's not a failure. It's not an expense. It's an investment that now I know what not to do. Now I know what to do. Next thing is I now know the weaknesses that we have in our recruiting and training for this position. Okay, I've already started to go back just in the last couple hours and evaluate. Okay, did I do this on recruiting? No, we did that really good. We did that really good. This one, not so much, not so much. We could do better here. Our training, okay, we were meeting this. We're meeting once a week and discussing this. We were doing this. We were doing this for follow up. But like, there's holes. There's holes in the system, and I didn't know what those holes were until we started. So a lot of people are afraid and be like, "Well, I'm going to wait till I have the perfect system ironed out." I promise you this: you'll never have the perfect system ironed out. So start today with what you have. Discover the holes, discover the problems, and then you can fill them with solutions. And so I feel good about that. It's like, no, we actually know what holes we have in our training, our recruiting training, and things like that. So, and then finally, this is a big takeaway. This is hard for everybody. Understand that hiring and firing is, and by the way, this wasn't really a firing. Like this was like I care so much about people, and the thing is, like, he cared so much about our company and what we're doing and the movement that we're creating and everything else. So it was more of a like, hey, we're done for now, and who knows, this person could honestly, they fit our culture so well that if another position opens up, we'll probably like if they fit the role, we'll probably hire them. Um, but understand that hiring and firing is part of running a business. Okay. You got to get good at it, guys. What got you here will not get you there. And it is a hard pill to swallow. It really is hard. You don't start your business thinking like, okay, I'm gonna have to be good at recruiting and training and firing and like what? Like you don't even think of that. You're just thinking of like how you're gonna offer an awesome service and how you're gonna price it and how you're gonna sell it and how you're gonna be really skilled at the craft, at lighting. So it's like we want to be good designers. We invest in ourselves and we figure out what products to use that are better and how to position them and how to come up with these awesome designs. Like that's what we focus on. And in reality, we need to be focusing on that, but we also need to be focusing on building the team, right? And you have to be good at firing people, unfortunately. And it's hard because when you have good people and it's just not working out, it doesn't mean that they're bad people. It doesn't mean that you're bad. It just means that it's not a good fit anymore. And, it's okay to have emotions and to care for people. But truthfully, you're not helping them by keeping them. You will not, ultimately, you won't be happy with their results, and they'll feel it and they'll not feel good about themselves either. So overall, I feel like it's a liberating for you, it's liberating for your company, and it's liberating to the individual to make the decision fast and don't look back. So I hope it's okay that I shared, got a little vulnerable with you because this literally just happened right now today. And it sucks. It truly, truly sucks, man. I'm like, man, I wish there was a way. And I think he was thinking the same thing. It's like, man, I wish this would have worked out better because there was a lot of good things going for both of us. But at the end of the day, it's just like it was like trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. There was something broken on our end or something broken on his end, and we got to fix that. It's not fair to either one of us to keep moving forward on something that's not going to have a glorious end result. So I want to encourage you guys to make hard decisions and make hard decisions fast. Um, I'm not the pro at it yet, but I've learned to make decisions much faster, and I continue to get better at this. But the sooner you can make decisions, the sooner you can just move forward, right? And it's like, man, just rip the Band-Aid off and then figure it out from there. And it's not fair to people to keep them around if you're truly not happy with what they're doing, because they're feeling it too, And he felt like he was letting the team down, and that sucks. Like, he deserves more than that. He deserves to feel awesome about what he's doing, and deserves to have that freedom and good feelings. So although it's like a really hard decision, it's the right decision. And it doesn't mean that, again, that you're bad or they're bad or anything like that. And there are situations where you're like, no, that person sucks. Like, get rid of them. This was not that. This was not that at all. So I think if they really suck at their job or they don't show up all the time, like, those are easy. It's like, just get rid of them. It's hard to let go of the people that you really like and that you care about. But if you can make these decisions quickly and your gut tells you, what you need to do, it's worth it. So that's it, guys. I wanted to share that with you. I want to thank Joe for coming on. He shared a lot of gold nuggets. We did a little role play. So if you missed any of that, go back and watch that. Really, really good stuff. Don't forget to get a copy of his book, What Should We Do? And check his program out at servicemvp.com. Appreciate all you guys for all your support. Don't forget to go book a call. And I told you at the beginning of the show what book a call means is not just book a call and we're just going to talk. Like, if I could help you get clarity in your business, go to landscapelightingsecrets.com, click start here, watch the case study. I'm telling you, we're going to go over the biggest mistakes that most contractors are making when it comes to growing their landscape lighting business, which, if you understand these things, you can find the problem, then we can give you the solution, right? The two things that 7-figure landscape lighting contractors have present in their business that the grinders do not. So we're going to show you, like, I've talked to hundreds of lighting companies around the US. I know which ones are doing over $1 million, which ones are doing under, which ones are doing over 3 million, 5 million, whatever. There's a common trend and commonality amongst these companies. We share that with you on this. Also, the 3-step blueprint to double your profits. And it's not that hard, guys. It's not that hard. So go to landscapelightingsecrets.com, click start here, watch that case study. These are the same strategies I use to grow my landscape lighting business to over 200,000 a month. And some months were months much larger than that, but just on average, that's usually what it was. And then if you're interested and you want to find out more, we can tell you about landscape lighting secrets and all that stuff. But honestly, just go and watch this case study. I promise you, it's going to benefit you in your life and in your business. That's all I got for you guys. I hope you have an awesome week. Keep moving forward. Let me know how this specific episode impacted you, and go implement, guys. Have a good one.